Hello, my students. Today we are going to jump into a science lesson. So this is our learning objective. Students will be able to identify the components of the water cycle by completing a water cycle diagram. So that tells us two things. One, we're going to be learning about the water cycle. And two, for our independent practice, we are hoping that we are knowledgeable enough about the water cycle to be able to create a diagram labeling all of the components and their functions. So let's get right into it. So let's get an idea of what we're learning today.
Your team's so ready for the big game tomorrow?
Yeah, we're ready. But look at the field. There are puddles everywhere.
Come on, don't let a little precipitation get you down.
What?
Precipitation. It's another word for rain. Actually, for any form of water that falls from the sky.
You mean like snow, sleet, or hail?
Yup, they're precipitation too.
Well, if this precipitation doesn't stop soon, we'll be playing slip and slide instead of soccer tomorrow.
Don't worry, RJ. Tomorrow's supposed to be hot and sunny. Those puddles will be history by game time.
How can you be sure?
Let's just say I'm counting on the water cycle to do its stuff. What comes down must go up. The water cycle is the endless path that water takes from the earth to the clouds and then back to the earth again. We already talked about precipitation.
Like this rain.
Right. Well, when precipitation falls from the sky, it fills the lakes, rivers, and oceans, runs down the mountain, and soaks into the soil.
And we drink it.
We do. So do other animals, and plants too. They draw in water to get nutrients from the soil and to keep cool. We're all part of the water cycle, but not the only part. Did you know that a lot of water just disappears into thin air?
Really? How?
Through evaporation. When water gets warmed by the sun, it changes from a liquid into an invisible gas called water vapor.
Invisible? What?
The water's still in the air, but you can't see it because it's a gas.
I'd call that evaporation. So if water vapor is invisible, how do we know it's there?
Sometimes you can feel it. You know, like on those hot, humid days.
Oh, yeah. When just kicking the ball around makes you sweat.
Exactly. Sweat evaporates too. That's another way water gets back into the air. And plants do kind of the same thing.
Plants sweat?
Kind of. It's called transpiration. Plants lose water through their leaves, and it evaporates like our sweat does.
So, Mr. Water Cycle Wizard, what happens next?
Remember, what comes down must go up. The water vapor gas rises in the air. As it does, it cools down. That makes the gas turn back into droplets of water, and they form clouds. It's called condensation.
Makes sense. Evaporation is water turning into vapor, and condensation is vapor turning into water or getting denser.
And when the clouds get so filled with water that they can't hold any more,
it rains?
Bingo! The whole process repeats.
So water really does travel in a cycle. When water on Earth is warmed, it evaporates and becomes water vapor, an invisible gas. As the water vapor rises into the air, it cools and turns into water droplets again. That's called condensation. Then the water droplets form clouds, rain falls from the clouds, and the cycle starts all over again.
Yup. So, here we are, smack dab in the middle of the water cycle.
Oh, yeah. I think the rain's stopping.
Nice. Now all we need is some heat.
Oh, I'll bring the heat in tomorrow's game.
Awesome. So now we should have a better idea about the water cycle and what we're going to learn. So now we're going to jump into some of our vocabulary terms that we learned during that video. But first, I'm going to ask you guys to get a pencil and a paper so that you guys can take notes. Again, as I stated during the objective, we are going to try and make our own independent diagrams. So this is going to be a representation of that water cycle that we learned during that video. And you are going to need the definitions as well as the terms necessary to complete that. So go ahead, pause the video, get all the tools that you need, and let's get started. So let's start with our first term, the water cycle. The path water takes from Earth to the clouds and back. As we saw in the video, this is a pattern. So it's going up and down and all around. So it happens over and over and over again, and this is going to be the whole process that we're going to be learning today during this lesson. So water vapor. When liquid water is heated, it turns into gas. So as we stated in that video, during evaporation, this liquid water turns into water vapor. So water vapor is a term connected to our evaporation. It is that gas or vapor that the water is turning into. Heat energy. The energy an object has from the movement of its molecules. On Earth, this heat energy comes from the sun. So for the water cycle, the heat energy that is warming up this water and making it evaporate is the heat energy that is coming from the sun. Evaporation. The process where liquids change to a gas or vapor. So two things that we could probably think about and already know about some evaporation is one, when you are boiling water in a pot on the stove, when that water starts to boil and bubble, if you turn off that water after it's been boiling a while, you will notice that you have less water than you started with. And that is because some of that water from the boiling point has vaporized and turns into a vapor or gas and disappeared. It has moved up, it has disappeared, so you will have less water than you started out with. Another example is, say it was raining one day at school and the play area or the blacktop has puddles of water where the rain has collected. If we go inside for a few hours, the sun comes out and heats up that water. When we come outside, there shouldn't be any puddles left, and that is because it has evaporated. Condensation is the process in which gas changes into a liquid. So this is my little diagram. It just shows those little water droplets right there. Something that we could refer to and have some knowledge about is the little droplets of water that we see on our water bottles. So when our water bottles sweat, that is actually condensation. Precipitation. The release of water from the sky. This can be a liquid or a solid. So in my picture, you can see it has snow, it has hail, it also has rain. Transpiration. The process where plants absorb water through the roots and then give off water vapor through pores in their leaves. So this is my little diagram. It also matches the picture on our screen of those little leaves with the little water droplets. So plants releasing water through their leaves back into the air. So water also evaporates from the leaves, from the water that is contained in that leaf, and that's transpiration. Force, another term that we probably heard during that video, is the push or pull of an object. So like these people demonstrate, this person is pushing the box while this person is pulling it. Gravity is a force of attraction that pulls together all matter. So our solar system, any of you guys that like Star Wars, you have a lot of knowledge on gravity, and that is something that does affect the water cycle. And solar energy is light, heat, and other forms of energy given off by the sun. So here is our diagram of the water cycle and those terms that we just learned a little bit more about. So all of this as a whole is the water cycle. We are going to start in this little corner right here where it says transpiration. So these little streamers of water are demonstrating the water being released through the leaves back into the air. So these are little trees. Their leaves are releasing this water, and it is vaporizing and going back into the rotation of the water cycle. We then move over and we can see this where it says gravity. So this water being pulled up, this rain and snow being pulled down, that is gravity at work. So pushing and pulling of the object. Now evaporation. Again, looking at the little streamers, this is the process where liquid changes to a gas or vapor. So this is that gas or vapor going up to condense in the clouds. So we then move over to condensation. That is our clouds. So that is the process in which gas changes into a liquid. So those are those little water droplets on our water bottle. And then something we skipped over, this solar energy. If you look at these little streamers of light coming down, that is the heat or the energy being given off by the sun. So that is the result of our boiling water evaporating. It is coming from that heat or energy that the sun is giving off. So after condensation, we jump over to precipitation, and that is our snow or our rain, the release of water from the sky. So after this condensation becomes too heavy or too loaded, it must release that water, and it comes down, as we stated, in a liquid or a solid, so snow, rain, or hail. So now let's practice applying our vocabulary words to real world scenarios. So we're going to jump back here, and we're going to test ourselves. So, what is precipitation? The release of water from the sky, snow, hail, or rain. So we can look at, is it the sweat from our bodies on a hot day, the gas that we use in furnaces and ovens, any form of water that falls from the sky, or warm rain but not cold snow or sleet. So I would say any form of water that falls from the sky, because as we stated, it is the release of water from the sky, so that makes the most sense to me. What is the water cycle? The path water takes from Earth to the clouds and back. So it's not the process of water evaporating, that is just one process within the water cycle. The path water takes from the mountaintops to the soil, no. The process of water falling from the clouds, part of it, but the best answer is the path water takes from Earth to the clouds and back again, because as all of our pictures show, it is a constant rotation. So it's not just going up, it's coming down as well. Which of these describes evaporation? So we look at our little card. The process where liquid changes to a gas or vapor. This is the puddle of rain or the boiling water on the stove. So water vapor becomes a liquid. Plants lose water through their leaves. What comes up must go. What comes down must come up. Water warms up and becomes a vapor. So this is being warmed up and becoming a vapor or a gas. What is transpiration? Here's our little card with the leaves and the little droplets of water. Plants releasing water through their leaves back into the air. So let's look at our options. The process in which plants release water through their leaves back into the air. The process in which humans release sweat through their skin back into the air. What happens when water vapor turns into a liquid, or the scientific name for the water cycle. I would say, if we compare our definition, the process, or plants releasing water through their leaves back into the air. So this is the best answer. What would most likely happen if it didn't rain in a certain area for a long period of time? Animals and plants would live the same way they always do. Animals would drink all the water and leave none for the plants. Plants would die and animals wouldn't receive nutrients from plants, or nutrients would find a different way of getting to plants and animals. As the video stated, plants and animals require water for nutrients as well as to cool their bodies, so plants would die and animals wouldn't receive any nutrients from plants. What is the process in which water vapor changes to liquid? So let's pull up our condensation. The process in which gas changes into a liquid. So gas or vapor turning into a liquid, that would be condensation. What do water droplets form? Clouds, condensation, nutrients, or humidity. As the video showed, our condensation was represented in the clouds, so clouds would be the best answer. There we go, we got 100%. Great job, guys. So now it's your turn. So what do? We are going to create a water cycle diagram. What does it need to include? It needs to include all the terms that we covered: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, transpiration, and solar energy. What can't it be? A direct replica of the models provided for you as examples. So it can't be the same model that was in the video, nor can it be the same model that was on my slideshow. How should it look? Colorful, labeled, and creative. So I hope that you guys have a lot of fun with this. I hope that this lesson was helpful, and I can't wait to see your guys' finished products. Go ahead and snap a picture and email it to Miss Halliburton so that we can see them and grade them. I hope you have a great time and this was helpful.